Hello, I'm Suzanne Collier. I'm the founder of bookcareers.com and a qualified careers advisor, and bookcareers.com is the independent careers service for the book publishing industry. Today I want to talk to you about covering letters. This episode is full of copyright material which is coming from my book, How to Job Search in Book Publishing, which will be published next year. As you can see, I'm still writing it. Yes, there's no post-it notes gone down since the last video. So if you see me on social media, please nag me and ask me why I'm not writing my book. So that's your task, one task for you to do today. Now, there are sort of 5 components that I can give you today that will make a great covering letter. And these components, if you do them, are likely to really improve your hit rate. The first component really is to start fresh. Start with a blank piece of paper. What I often see job seekers who are using the same letter over and over again and just topping and tailing it, that's just changing the name of the company and the job in the first and last paragraph. Now, the thing is if that covering letter failed to get you an interview for a previous job or got you an interview and didn't get you the job, then it's not a successful covering letter. So that's one reason to start fresh, because if you're using the same letter over and over again and expecting different results, I think that's the dictionary definition of madness. The second thing I would say is not to copy anybody else's covering letter, because it has to be about you and you in relation to the job you're applying for. And please do not use AI in any part of your job search, and that includes trying to get help writing your CV or looking for words and phrases or even asking it to write your covering letter. There are now a number of AI checkers that are being used in recruitment. I don't yet know how they're being used or if they're being used in publishing recruitment. And I just want to reassure you here that I have spoken to over 300 publishers and none of them use AI to sift the applications. What they actually do is every single application is read by a human being to some extent. And if this changes, I will let you know. What was really quite reassuring when I asked these publishers and I asked these recruiters is that quite a few of them said that they know the candidate has obviously spent a lot of time crafting that application, and it only makes sense that they give them the respect they deserve by reading their covering letter and CV. That's really reassuring to know. Now, the first tip I will give you is to start fresh, blank piece of paper. It also means that all your new thoughts and ideas are within that blank piece of paper. The second tip is if you're still using Dear Sir or Madam, in 2023, when this video is being recorded, that is now seen as outdated vocabulary for something like a job application. So what I would suggest is you do Dear and the name of the department or the name of the publisher, or if it has it, the name of the recruiter. But what I do recommend is that you don't spend lots of time, as we've always been told, spend time finding the name of the person you're sending this to. I would actually disagree at this moment in time, because publishing has diversity and inclusion problems they're trying to rectify. Therefore, someone who might not use the name of the recruiter if it's not available within the application might come from a non-traditional publishing background, which the recruiter could be looking for. So please don't spend your time trying to be really precise and finding the name. What I would say is if you do have the name of somebody, then spell it correctly, because that is more important than actually finding the name of somebody. But just make sure you spell their name correctly if you've been given their name. But very often, if the email address is recruitment at, you could just say dear recruitment at publisher, you know. So that is the first real, well, second real tip. The third tip, and probably the real content within the covering letter, is to get a notebook and pen. She says, here's one I have earlier, get a notebook and pen. Now this is very old school, you might say, and you're really happy to type things into your phone or type things up on your laptop. But when you actually write things down, your brain functions slightly differently to when you type. So I always recommend, for doing things within a job search, to pen and paper. And what you're going to do is you're going to take that job advertisement and read it through thoroughly. Now, if you've heard me speak before, you will know that if there's only one thing that I want you to remember from everything I say, it's this: learn how to read and understand instructions, because it will change your life. And so often I'm talking to recruiters and they're telling me that the applicants for a job haven't read the job advertisement, and they're saying if only they read the job advertisement. And this is what your job is to do now, is to read the job advertisement thoroughly, and you're going to read it line by line. So if it starts by saying you'll be working in a busy department and a team of 3 people reporting to a director, you would write down with your pen and paper any experience that you've had working in a busy environment with a team of people and reporting to somebody senior. Now notice how none of those things I've said are exclusive to book publishing. And this is what I see a lot of candidates get head up on, is that they must have publishing experience. They must have publishing experience, where really what publishers are looking for are your transferable skills. So you will write down all the incidences or the examples you could give about working in a busy department with a team of 3 people and reporting to somebody senior. What you might actually do is condense that into a phrase that says that I've been working in a busy retail environment within a team of 6 people where I am reporting to a manager. Can you see how we've made that very close to the job advertisement? Now, I'm not going to go through every point within a job advertisement in this video, but that's what you need to do. And this, when at the end, you will come together and you should be able to transfer all your notes into a document, and that should be the outline of your covering letter. The thing you do want to include in the body of your letter is a paragraph about why them. Why do you want to work for that publisher? What do you know about them? And please don't repeat what you've seen on their website verbatim. What you need to do is to mention maybe some books you've read that have been published by them. And no, you don't need to have read every single book by every single publisher. But if there's something that you've got where you can demonstrate you've got a connection with them, like you use their textbooks at school, or you had some of those books as assigned text as university, or that you read for pleasure and you read within those genres, then mention it. Now, I get lots of comments about, oh, I'm worried I'm gushing too much. Let me just say that in a covering letter, it's very hard to gush too much. But just make sure that you've got this paragraph about why you want to work for them. It can make all the difference to your application. Then comes the big task, and the task that is related to publishing skills, and that is to edit those notes, turn them into coherent sentences, and to write a letter around those points. Now, it doesn't mean bullet point, it's to write sentences that join those sentences together. Use connecting words. And that is probably the easiest way to write a covering letter, is to take the job advertisement, to match yourself to each task line by line, and then to put it into a letter. It sounds simple. It is when you get the habit of it. Now, when you're coming to put it together, here's some other tips. Yes, use coherent sentences. No, you do not need to validate every single point in the job advertisement. Your covering letter should still be one side of A4 paper. What you are aiming to do is to pick out the things that they say, some of the things you've got that they say in the job advertisement is an essential skill and a desirable skill. So if you've only got 1 out of 4 of the essential skills, but you've got 5 out of 5 of the desirable skills, then it might be worth you applying, because that's what they might be looking for. They might be looking for somebody different. But overall, if you don't apply, your name isn't in the hat. And then the 5th point, and this is the publishing bit too, is to check your grammar, check your proofread, check your mistakes, your punctuation, but also check your vocabulary and your word repetition. So what I sometimes see is people use the word currently a lot in a covering letter, and sometimes I've seen one client who's had the word currently in their covering letter 22 times and they didn't realise they were doing it. So watch your word repetition, because no matter what publishing job you get, you will have to do some sort of writing, whether it's a simple writing of an email to an author, or writing an email to the rest of the company, or whether it's writing cover copy for a future book, writing marketing material, writing a new title information sheet. You could be writing catalogue copy. So it needs to read well as a letter. It needs to flow. And this is another point, is that one of the former HR directors for a publisher once told me that nothing pleases them more than reading a well-crafted covering letter. So make it flow, because most of the time what candidates seem to forget in book publishing is that the person, it doesn't matter whether they're in HR, whether they're in talent, whether they're in recruitment, or whether they're in the individual department. If they're working for a publisher, they probably read a lot of books. Therefore, they're used to reading, and they would like to read something that pleases them. That doesn't mean to put gimmicks in or anything else. And remember, always black text, white background. And I'd also suggest you put your contact details at the top of the covering letter in exactly the same format that is on your CV, so the documents match. Now, I think that's enough to be giving you to go on with. just leaves me to say, please subscribe to this channel. We've got lots of good things coming up. This has been copyright material. The actual chapter on covering letters is already over 20 pages long. So you can understand that this is just a quick walk through some key points. And it just leaves me to say, may you all be doing a job you love and being paid the salary that you so richly deserve. And check out the links in the description. Thank you.